Why do cartoons keep using the same body swap story over and over again? It sounds fun at first, but it quickly becomes boring and predictable. In this video, we're breaking down why these episodes rarely work, what they get wrong, and why fans are tired of seeing them again and again. Body swap episodes are everywhere in cartoons, and honestly, most of them are terrible. If you name any cartoon from your childhood, there is a very high chance it has a body swap episode. Powerpuff Girls did it, Kim Possible did it, Jimmy Neutron did it, Gravity Falls did it, The Owl House did it, even obscure shows you barely remember probably did it at some point. This trope shows up so constantly that it feels like every cartoon is required by law to include one. The problem is not that body swap episodes exist. The problem is that 99% of them follow the exact same boring, predictable formula, and nobody bothers innovating or trying anything new. These episodes have become so stale and repetitive that audiences can predict every single beat before it happens. Let me explain why this trope has become one of the most hated cartoon cliches and why most writers completely phone it in when tackling body swaps. The first major problem is predictability. Body swap episodes follow the exact same structure every single time. Two characters argue about something, usually complaining that the other person has life easier. Then some magic artifact or science experiment or supernatural event swaps their bodies. They immediately realize how hard the other person has it. As they struggle to navigate daily life in a different body, they learn to appreciate each other's struggles. They apologize for judging too quickly. Their bodies get swapped back to normal. Roll credits. That is literally the plot of dozens of body swap episodes with barely any variation. You could watch the Kim Possible body swap episode and the Chowder body swap episode back to back, and despite completely different characters and settings, the structure remains identical. The beats play out exactly the same. The moral is always the same. Do not judge someone until you walk in their shoes, or in this case, literally inhabit their body. This would not be as much of a problem if other cartoon tropes were this rigid. Most common cartoon plots have room for variation. Beach episodes can go different directions. Holiday specials can tell unique stories. Even clip show episodes sometimes try creative framing devices, but body swap episodes almost never deviate from the established template. The purpose stays identical across every show. Characters learn empathy by experiencing life from another perspective. There is nothing wrong with that message, but when you have seen this exact lesson taught the exact same way in 50 different cartoons, it gets old fast. Audiences are not stupid. After the third or fourth body swap episode, you know exactly how things will unfold. The mystery disappears. The engagement vanishes. You are just watching the characters go through motions you have witnessed countless times before. The Owl House body swap episode perfectly demonstrates this problem. You can tell from Ida's dialogue in the opening scene that the writers knew how overdone this trope had become. The episode feels weirdly self-aware about being a body swap story, but self-awareness without innovation does not fix anything. Acknowledging that your episode is predictable does not make it less predictable. The Owl House episode still hits every standard body swap beat without offering any unique spin or fresh perspective. It feels forced and lazy, like the writers included it because cartoons are supposed to have body swap episodes, not because they had an interesting story to tell. This is the danger of treating certain plots as mandatory checkboxes rather than opportunities for creative storytelling. When you write something just because it is expected rather than because you have something new to say, the result feels hollow and uninspired. Another huge complaint people have with body swap episodes involves voice acting. In most cartoons, when characters swap bodies, their voices swap too. So, if character A and character B trade bodies, character A will speak with their normal voice, despite using character B's vocal cords. This makes zero logical sense. Voices come from physical anatomy, not from consciousness. If you transfer minds between bodies, the voices should stay with the original bodies, not follow the minds. But almost every cartoon ignores this reality and swaps the voices anyway. Why do they do this? Simple. To avoid confusing young viewers. If voices stayed with bodies, kids watching might struggle to track who is who, especially if they are not paying close attention. Swapping voices makes everything clearer and easier to follow. The audience hears the familiar voice and immediately knows which character they are watching, regardless of which body appears on screen. However, this creates awkward moments where characters try convincing others they are not who they appear to be, or try pretending they are someone else, and it makes no sense. In Gravity Falls, when Dipper and Mabel swap bodies, they try fooling people into thinking everything is normal, but Dipper is speaking with Dipper's voice, coming from Mabel's body. and Mabel is speaking with Mabel's voice, coming from Dipper's body. How does nobody notice? Are we supposed to believe that in-universe, the characters actually hear different voices, even though the audience hears the swapped voices? It requires some serious suspension of disbelief. Some shows handle this better by having voice actors do impressions of the characters currently inhabiting their character's body. Justice League Unlimited does this perfectly when Flash and Lex Luthor swap minds. Michael Rosenbaum and Clancy Brown still sound like themselves, but they adjust their mannerisms and speaking patterns to reflect who is controlling the body. The result is clever and funny and makes way more logical sense. Sonic Boom also nails this approach when Sonic and Eggman swap bodies. Roger Craig Smith adds evil inflections to Sonic's voice, and Mike Pollock does whiny teenage delivery, showing that Sonic is inside Eggman's body and vice versa. This method lets voice actors flex their range while maintaining consistency with how body swapping should actually work. It is more entertaining and less distracting than just swapping audio tracks. Despite this, some people do not mind the voice swapping method and argue that it is just a convenience for clarity. They say you can pretend the characters in universe hear the correct voices, even if the audience hears swapped voices. That is fair, but the fact remains that voice actor impressions create funnier situations and avoid raising questions about consistency. When done well, they elevate body swap episodes significantly. Most cartoons just take the easy route though, because getting voice actors to do convincing impressions requires extra effort and talent. So is there any way to make body swap episodes good? Absolutely, but it requires actual creativity instead of following the tired formula. For episodic comedies, the quality depends entirely on how funny the jokes are. If you are just doing body swap for physical comedy and silly situations, then make sure those situations are genuinely hilarious and original. Do not just show characters struggling with unfamiliar bodies. Find unique gags that only work with your specific characters and setting. Chowder's body swap episode works better than most because it focuses on humor rather than moral lessons, but even then it still feels somewhat repetitive if you have seen other body swap episodes. For more serious or story-driven shows, there is huge potential to innovate. Do not make empathy the automatic lesson. Use body swapping as an obstacle or complication in a larger story. Make it create genuine consequences instead of just temporary inconvenience that resets by episode end. The best body swap stories in any medium are ones that use the premise to explore something deeper than just walking in someone else's shoes. Your Name, the anime film, uses body swapping to tell an emotional time-traveling romance that would not work any other way. The swap is not the message itself, but rather a tool to facilitate the real story. Cartoons could absolutely do this if writers stopped treating body swaps as obligatory filler and started viewing them as opportunities. Discard the recycled moral about appreciating others. Tell a story that actually requires body swapping to work. Make the swap create real stakes, or reveal important character information, or drive plot forward in meaningful ways. Stop using body swaps as lazy lesson delivery devices. Not every episode needs to teach the same obvious moral about empathy, especially when audiences have already learned that lesson from 10 other shows.